this video, we're taking a look at the movie The Faculty on 4K from Shout Factory. And I'm going to tell you what's good about it, what's bad about it, and if you should buy it. If you find this review helpful, make sure you let me know in the comments. Let's start with the good stuff. This is the same transfer as the digital version that Paramount put up a few months ago. But Shout offers this release on a BD100 with a crazy high bitrate. This one consistently goes above 80 megabits per second. And details really benefit from it, especially during close-ups, which Robert Rodriguez uses a lot of in this movie. You know, he likes to do these really big close-ups, and they look even bigger at 185:1 aspect ratio. You can see the level of detail here, and the textures are incredible. This is the kind of detail that the actors probably don't want you to see. You can see almost every pore, every freckle, every bump. And the old Blu-ray was kind of a mess, but at least it had some detail, and this 4K totally destroys it. It's not even close. And the film grain on this is so fine that you might not even be able to see it depending on your display size or how far away you're sitting. And you can see here there's a really nice texture to it. And thankfully it doesn't have that chunky look like some 4Ks. The color is also a lot more saturated. The old Blu-ray looks seriously washed out, and people in the physical media community love to argue over what's accurate and everything's always too blue or too green or whatever. But this was approved by Robert Rodriguez, and because it doesn't look really ultra vibrant either, I'm pretty confident that this is how it's supposed to look. Taking a look at the color gamut, there is some action outside of HD color space, so I figure they probably did some tweaking there. That said, the color is really not all that much different than the remastered Blu-ray that's included in the set. And I was really interested in seeing what the Blu-ray looked like because I've seen some 4K releases that weren't really the brightest, and I preferred the remastered Blu-ray in some scenes. A good example of this is how much brighter Shout Factory's release of Point Break looked on the Blu-ray compared to the 4K. So I expected something similar with The Faculty, but what I wasn't expecting was this level of detail. As I said earlier, I thought the 4K had crazy levels of detail, but damned if this Blu-ray doesn't give it a run for its money. I mean, it looks incredible. If you were in a situation where you had like a projector or TV that didn't have HDR, or was just not bright enough, or maybe even you just don't like the look of high dynamic range, you could pop this bad boy in and not miss a beat. It's that good. And now for the bad. And I'm gonna sound like a broken record on this, but if they're gonna keep doing it, I'm gonna keep calling them out on it. You gotta upgrade the soundtrack with these 4Ks. You know, you can still give the idealists their theatrical mixes and their mono soundtracks or whatever the fuck. But dude, it is 2024. If you're gonna upgrade the video, upgrade the audio too. It's just that simple. Dolby Atmos, DTSX, whatever. Just upgrade the soundtrack already. And I'm not even going to spend a lot of time reviewing the old 5.1 soundtrack that's included here. Yeah, it's loud, it's aggressive, and the surround channels are used quite a bit. But it's not immersive. I also thought that the HDR looked a little bit wacky during a few of the earlier scenes in the movie. And I'm going to give a little leeway here because of the overall look of this movie and how your display might handle high dynamic range. But man, some of these scenes look really dark. And I don't mean dark like nighttime dark. I mean it's dim. Like, check out this exterior scene early in the movie. I would expect an exterior shot like this to be a little brighter. I mean, they clearly didn't film this on a soundstage, so daylight is daylight, right? And looking at the analysis, a lot of this is well under SDR limits. So it's going to be noticeably dim if you're watching this in an average lit room. HDR10 was slightly brighter than Dolby Vision, but both were still on the darker side in these earlier scenes, which is a pretty good indicator that it was meant to be this dark in HDR. Dolby Vision Bright Mode did look a lot better on my display, but since Robert Rodriguez approved this, I kept it in Dolby Vision Dark for my review. And I am glad I did, because the contrast and the overall brightness looks a lot more satisfying later on in the movie. Check out some of these scenes as the story starts to develop. These scenes are quite a bit brighter overall, but they also take advantage of HDR to provide better contrast. The brightness on the included Blu-ray that I mentioned earlier, which is mastered at 100 nits, is a little more balanced, but there's a bit of a trade-off in highlight detail, as you can see some clipping here. And lastly, a mild nitpick is the extras. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but it does suck that this was approved by Robert Rodriguez, but he's nowhere to be found in the supplements. He even screened the movie and did a Q&A just a few years ago. And he did some stuff for the Desperado 4K, so I'm not sure why Shout couldn't get him to do something here. And with this kind of movie and his filming style, I kind of feel like there's probably a shitload of outtakes that they could have used. So I don't know how those deals are made, but this was definitely a missed opportunity. So is it worth it? If you've watched this channel before, then you know I usually don't side with the boutique labels for a variety of reasons, and the price is a little steep. But if this had been a Paramount release, it would have been the same transfer on a BD66 with no extras at all. And I was really satisfied with the detail level here because Shout used a 100 gig disc. So I'm pretty confident that this is probably as good as the movie's gonna look. It's a noticeable upgrade in sharpness over Paramount's digital version, and it absolutely trashes the original Blu-ray. So I'm gonna give this one a soft recommendation. If you want to support this channel, I've got the movie linked in the description. And don't forget to let me know what you think in the comments.